Hello, I'm Sue with Woman of Noble Character, and I am so excited to have with us today Bethany Davenport. Bethany is an actress in a film that will be released this summer called Summer of '67. We're going to hear more about the film and more about Bethany's role in it, plus a little bit about Bethany as a person and her faith as well. So stay tuned and hope you stick around with us to the end. You're not going to want to miss this. So Bethany, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about you, your career, your family, your life.
Yeah, it's not too much to tell. I am married and I have my two cats. It's just our little family right now. And yeah, my parents, I have a brother and a sister, and they're all very excited about all of the stuff that's coming out right now. It's still pretty new to us.
I'm sure. I get the cats. I have 5 cats and 3 dogs, so.
Oh goodness. Yeah, the one is sitting right over there, and sometimes she likes to interject, so we'll see if you might hear her a little bit.
And I'm going to apologize in advance because I have one of my dogs and one of my cats in the room as well, so we could get into this. It'll just make it more fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, great. Could you tell us a little bit about your testimony of faith?
Sure, yeah. I think when it comes to that, there isn't really one story. I feel like my dad tells me that the first time I accepted Christ, I was about 4 years old, and that is something that I don't really have any recollection of. He remembers it very well. The first time I remember making that decision for myself and just being filled with the Spirit and just confessing a faith and saying, Lord, come into my heart, was probably when I was 6 years old. And yeah, I remember I was just like sweeping the playroom that we had. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh, I need to pray right now. And then it was just kind of a series of decisions growing up to keep renewing that and rededicating myself to it.
And it's something we always do, no matter how long we've been believers. We need to continue to rededicate ourselves. So that's awesome. And I think it's really special that you remember that from a time as a child.
Yeah, it was just so random. I was thinking about that a couple months ago when I was having to share that. I think the first time I remember was when I was 6. Yeah.
That's great. So what attracted you to acting and what made you take that leap to put yourself out there and become an actress?
I've been attracted to acting for a very long time. From the point where I had that spark to the point where I actually took the leap was a very long, slow process. I grew up a huge movie fan. I really just enjoyed watching movies and watching them over and over and over again until I could recite the scenes that I liked and would just go for it in the basement or in my bedroom or in front of the bathroom mirror. I think it really sparked when DVDs became a big thing because DVDs had bonus features. And so it was the first time that as a kid I could see behind the scenes stuff and see exactly how movies were made, and it fascinated me. So when I first started thinking about movies, I was like, oh, maybe I should be a director. And I kind of realized, maybe I'll go that route someday, but I really, really like the acting side.
And how did this come to be, the part in this film, Summer of '67? Was it an open audition or?
Yes, it was an audition for some. I submitted, I saw the casting call, and I had been acting for probably about 6 months when I saw full-time, like going after jobs. I'd been in training for a bit, but actually going after it. I saw the casting call and I thought I was just drawn to it. And then I screenshotted it so I wouldn't forget any of the information. And then I forgot about it. When I went to go submit for it, I realized I had missed the deadline. And I did not know what to do. And I turned to my husband, because he's the one who films all my auditions for me, and I was like, I missed the deadline. It was 2 days ago. I missed it. What am I going to do? And he was like, just submit anyway. what's the worst they're going to say? And so I did, and they liked the look that I had and everything, and they asked me to audition for Kate, and 2 days later I sent in an audition. A week later I was offered the part.
Wow, that is fabulous. And how
Yeah.
and that's bad. Because you missed the deadline, and you know, that's an amazing story. Now, do
It
you
really, I would say, it really just all fell into place perfectly.
It did, absolutely. That was his plan, though.
Yes.
Now, were you primarily an actress for Christian media, or
I do both.
Mhm.
I do both Christian and non-Christian. I'm not really, I guess, steered more towards one or the other. I just really want there to be a good story and a good message, and just something that, I don't know, that I'm just passionate about, that I want to be a part of.
That's awesome. Tell us about the movie. Just kind of give us an overview of what the movie's about.
Sure, yeah. So Summer of 67 is a Vietnam War story. It takes place during that time in the late 60s, obviously 67, and it follows three different women who, throughout the course of the film, each have a person dear to their hearts fighting overseas, and it follows them as they are at home, waiting to hear, wondering what's happening, and just just kind of breaking down that journey. It's not really so much about the war over there. It's about how it impacts people at home.
Now, it is made by Faithflix, right?
Yes, it is made by Faithflix, and it is their first movie that isn't overtly faith-based. And they've shifted everything over to now they have a newer production company called Main Street Productions, and that's the that it's going to be under is Main Street Productions, but also still being promoted by Faithflix as well.
Great. So you played a role of Kate.
Yes.
What's about Kate?
Kate is she's one of those people that isn't afraid of what she actually thinks. She is one of those people that when she doesn't want to be around you, she's very clear about that. And she's kind of free-spirited a little bit, and kind of has a hard time really attaching to other people. She's very close to her sister, and she's kind of a daddy's girl, but outside of that, it's hard for her to let people in. And so that was very interesting to get to explore.
How did you prepare for the role?
I prepared a lot. I actually have my script. I meant to get it. It's somewhere in this apartment. But just every page is just so many notes on the page, just breaking it down scene by scene. I wanted to really explore her arc with her sister. That's a really, really integral part of the story, is Kate and Millie's relationship. And then Kate actually has two men in her life, the film. And so I wanted to explore her relationship with Peter, who is her soldier overseas and kind of her high school sweetheart. And then she starts exploring a relationship with a hippie named Van when he's gone. And so I really wanted to kind of compare those two relationships and the attraction in those two relationships, because they're very different. And so I really just broke that down a lot. Kate also experiences a traumatic event in her childhood, which is in the opening scene, I'm pretty sure, of the movie. And I don't want to give too much away, but what she experiences is something that would greatly impact her later. And so I was researching the actual studies of following children who had been through something like that and how it does affect them later in life. And that really helped me actually be able to explore how that would impact her relationships.
So is there any of you in Kate?
A little bit. I think most of what is me in Kate is what I put there. I think when I read the script, I was very nervous when they asked me to audition for her because I felt like we were very different. So I did give her some mannerisms of mine just to help me step into her a little bit easier. I used motivation. I used my sister actually as part of motivation for her character.
What was the motivation there?
My sister's kind of one of those no-nonsense people as well, where, and I say this in love, and she knows this. We've talked about this, and she knows that I use this part of her personality in Kate's personality, that she's very short with people that she doesn't want to be around. And so there is one particular character in the movie that Kate with the entire time, and that is her aunt. And so I was channeling my sister in some of those moments.
I think we all have those people in our lives that we would prefer not to be around, and some of us are more direct.
Yes.
That displeasure than others. I'm probably more along the lines of Kate than in that. Yeah. What was your favorite part of filming this movie?
Part of the filming aspect was the costumes. I loved the costumes, and they all fit, which was amazing because Sharon had been collecting costumes for months. Some of them had been made from scratch, but they were all tailored exactly to my size, which was great. I feel a lot of times that's kind of difficult you step in, it's like, oh, okay, let's pin this here. Let's just let this fall this way, but and they were all great. I loved all of them. But then the movie, I would have to say the friendships.
I'm sure you spend a lot of time with people and you build that up, and acting is vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was this your first film?
So it was my first feature film. So it was my first full-length movie. I had done, I had been on a TV show, and I guest starred in an episode of a TV show that is still in post-production right now. So that one won't be out for a little bit. And I had done, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Can you share which one it was?
Yes, it is it's one that's being pitched to cable networks. It's called Remnant 13. And you might hear about that one from Rachel as well. She has a very significant role in that series, and I kind of just came in for one episode. But
very
it's
cool.
It's a post-apocalyptic story, that one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Was there anything about the movie making process that surprised you, from what your expectations were coming in to what it actually was all about and what happened?
I think how long it actually takes to just do one scene. You come in and everybody on the crew has their job, whether it's setting up lighting, setting up sound, dressing the set to make sure it doesn't look like a set, or some aspects of it. You have someone who holds a reflector if they need more light. You have someone who their sole job is to, and you have someone else who is listening to the audio and making sure it comes through, someone who's holding the microphone, making sure, like, everyone has that job that is theirs, and it takes time. It takes a lot more time than I expected.
How long did it take from beginning of shooting until wrap up?
We were shooting for, I want to say, a month. Wow. And I was there generally 2 to 3 days a week for the whole month. And it was probably 8-hour days. So not too bad. I had done a short film a few months before, which is going to festivals now, where we had 10 to 12-hour days. They can be long days.
Absolutely, I'm sure. And you need to stay in character or go back and forth in between characters, you know. So
Yes,
I'm sure that can be tiring.
it can be, especially for the really emotionally charged scenes. And then maintaining that, because sometimes what I have missed is the atmosphere of a scene really affects everyone, even on the crew. And so as actors, between takes, we're trying to stay, for especially the harder scenes, we're trying to stay down and stay in that, the sadness or the stress or whatever it is. We have to stay in that. But then, excuse me, the crew is trying to not let it affect them as much. So sometimes there's that imbalance between takes where you're trying to just stay focused, and the crew's like, okay, we're having fun, we like this, all right, let's go, guys. So it really is something. It really is just, I don't know, it really is something.
Fascinating too, even just to watch people go through that process and kind of stay in character and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, do you find, you said that you're not so much like Kate. Do you find that you're picking up any bits of Kate from your experience in playing the role of her?
I think maybe a little bit here and there. I'm not sure how aware I am of it at certain times. I do know, I think there have been a few occasions where I'm like, yep, that was Kate. And I think a lot of it really is more just what I brought into her as well. I think you'll see her when she gets nervous. She does this a lot because that's a nervous habit that I have too, is just playing with my hair. Or there are times she's pretty much never wearing shoes either. Shoes, I think every scene, if she starts with shoes on in the scene, it's rare that she keeps them on throughout the whole scene. So, and that was something that I brought into her as well. It was like, yeah, I feel like her free spirited side, no shoes as much as possible.
Well, if you are around somebody that kind of just gets your goat, maybe you can just say, okay, I'm going to channel my inner Kate and get away from this situation.
Oh, I do need to probably do that more. I'm just a smile and nod person for the most part. And Kate is just like a roll my eyes and leave type of person.
Okay, well, maybe you want to be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle, probably.
If you could identify one or two messages that you think the film is trying to convey, what would you say they would be?
I think with this, each woman, we follow 3 different women, and I think each one has their own message for the audience. I think we have Kate, Millie, and Ruby May. And so Kate is the young, free-spirited person, and her journey is one of growth. She really is a much different person by the end than she is at the beginning. And I think she also kind of conveys, she learns to let herself love for the first time. And I think with Millie, her older sister in the movie, you have she gets married and it's her husband that's fighting overseas, and she's pregnant as well, and so there's that as and I know people that are in that situation personally right now, and I can't imagine. And so she really ties into that hopefulness and everything. And then you have Ruby May, who's just so steadfast and so strong throughout this entire thing. And Ruby May is a maid in their house who really is like part of their family. And she really has the faith, and she's the encourager, in all of that.
I can't wait to see the story and
Me too.
and their personalities and their journeys. I read so much about the film, and I'm just so excited to see it on screen.
Oh yes, I'm so excited.
So, Hollywood and the filmmaking industry has a reputation for being quite liberal in their views. So, how do you uphold your faith and your values in an industry that has a reputation for being anything but value filled or moral?
I think it's in many ways the film industry is like any other workplace. You know what you believe as a Christian, and you step into your work environment, and you know what's important to you. You know what you believe in, and you just stick by that. For me, I know, be it a Christian project or a non-Christian project, I'm very choosy with the projects that I go after, even if that means, and it has many times meant giving up opportunities. And for me, I feel like God will honor that I have upheld what I believe in and what's important to me. And so I think it's just, knowing what you believe, sticking to it, and being willing to, I guess, accept the consequences of that as well, and understanding that He has a plan.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably what sets you apart from some of the stories that we've been reading in the news, of women going through certain things in Hollywood, because you did stand fast to what you believe in. And I think in some of those other cases, and I don't know for certain, but in some of the cases, the perception is that they would do anything to achieve this certain level of success. So in some cases, they compromised their values, and in other times, they were compromised for them. But
it's really sad. I think sometimes what women have to go through to feel appreciated in this industry.
I agree.
But I do feel like that is shifting now. I really like how women are kind of taking the power back in that sense too.
Well, I think that it was bound to change. I think the publicity of all of these situations that we've been hearing about and reading about brought light to it and allowed women to take that stand. So that's an important, if there is any positive that could come from what these women went through, is that maybe they'll pave the way for that not to be the norm anymore.
Yes, absolutely. I was actually just this past weekend at a release party for a music video I got to be a part of. And I guess by the time this goes up, it'll be out and everything. It's coming out officially today. At some point, I haven't gotten the email yet saying it's up, but it's a music video for the song Me Too by Haley and Michaels, all based around that movement and just encouraging others to just be strong and support each other.
That is fabulous. And perhaps you can share the link once that goes live, and we'll share it with our audience.
Absolutely.
Check it out as well. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
In your career, what would you say is the biggest risk that you've taken? And how has it paid off?
Biggest risk? I think just going forward in the first place was pretty risky. And, I had a full-time job. I was working full-time and I was miserable, not in working full-time, just in the job that I was in. And it was my husband who told me to quit and go for what I really wanted to do. And so that in itself was risky, and it's come with sacrifices, but I do think it has been 100% worth it.
What a blessing to have a husband who's so supportive.
Yes.
I'm very blessed in that regard as well, but so many people have stars in their eyes and say, oh, I want to be an actress, or I want to do this, but fear just holds them back. So
it did for me for a long time as well. And I think in some ways it still does. And I'm constantly battling that and remembering, this is what I want to do. And you do have to take risks. You do have to put yourself out there. And that's something I'm definitely still learning.
I'm sure it's a lifelong process. Continuing to battle down that fear and take that risk and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you?
Well, the short film that I did last year, which is a futuristic society, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Brave New World, just a little bit, where the society that they live in, they don't have their own children, and they're test tube babies that are raised on, different farms, they call them. And then when they come of age, they are paired with a husband or a wife, so that way they have companionship and live that way. And in the short film, my character ends up getting pregnant because she misses the vaccine, which is really just birth control that they don't tell them. And so it's really fascinating. And that one's called Bump, and it's hitting the film festival circuit right now. It'll be premiering on Thursday at the Christian Worldview Film Festival in Franklin, Tennessee. And then it'll be at the International Christian Film Festival in May in Orlando. So, and it's already been nominated for Best Short Film for the Orlando Festival. Mm-hmm.
Will you have the opportunity to attend these festivals?
The one in Franklin, I'll be going to it on Saturday for the last day. And then I'm hoping to be able to go to Orlando. We'll have to see. It's kind of far right now.
So I'm going to ask you some fun tidbits just so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Okay. Nothing too personal or too creepy, I promise. What's one television show that you just can't miss?
Oh, it changes all the time, but I think my favorite TV show probably of all time would be The Office. Okay. The American one. I have watched that show all the way through, I think 5 or 6 times. Wow. I love it.
It's under Mifflin, right?
Pardon?
Under Mifflin, right?
Yes.
Okay. What was your last Google search?
I have no idea. Let me see. It was probably something like a how-to or something. My last Google search was, how is frittata different from quiche?
Well, a girl's got to know that.
Yeah, right? It's very important. And I'm not sure I entirely understand the difference. Just frittata starts on the stove and then goes in the oven, and then quiche is all in the oven, and that was really all I figured out. But
well, I've only made a quiche, so maybe I'll have to do that same Google search and see what it brings.
Yeah, there you go.
What's your favorite snack food?
Oh, man. Depends on the day. Because sometimes I'm a salty person, sometimes I'm a sweet person. I think right now, it's probably really bad. I have Oreo Thins, and I just snack on them. And I go full Parent Trap, and I dip them in peanut butter, and it's amazing.
Oh, there you go. Peanut butter goes with everything. I put it in my ice cream. I add it.
It's chocolate and peanut butter is the best flavor combination in the world, I'm pretty
Agreed.
sure.
Do you have any hobbies or things you like to do outside of acting?
I just really like being active. And so I do triathlons in the summer. I just went rock climbing yesterday. I started taking these aerial sling classes, which is kind of a little bit in the circus kind of stuff. I was very inspired by The Greatest Showman. So,
I see it and I keep hearing. Oh,
it's so good. It's just a really fun movie experience.
Great. Let's see. And your favorite guilty pleasure?
This one probably actually is guilty in the pleasure. And I watched The Bachelor. And can't help it. Started it in college and I can't help it.
Well, if you're like me, you're a sucker for romance and you like to see the people fall in love in that one spark.
Yeah. Not sure I believe it completely, but I'm a huge Shawn and Catherine fan. I think it's more of, I'm not a reality TV person. That is the only reality TV that I watch. And it's just so funny to me watching 25 women try to all gain the affections of one guy.
Yeah, to me that just sounds terrifying, but
and the odds are against you the whole time. It should be more surprising when you do make it through than when you don't.
I would agree.
Yeah.
What would you say is one odd thing about you that we probably wouldn't know?
Ooh. Odd thing. don't know about odd. Probably something that I feel like is very, I guess it's not completely common. I'm a huge Broadway fan. Love Broadway musicals. Absolutely love them. I've seen about 10 up in New York. I grew up in the Philadelphia area, and so just train ride up. And yeah, I have about 30 Broadway musicals, the soundtracks from them saved on my iPad and my computer. Yeah, both of my cats are named after Broadway musicals.
There you go.
But, yeah.
Cats are named after athletes because we're big sports fans. So
Oh, there
I
you go.
completely get that. Well, it has been a pleasure to chat with you and get to know you.
No, thank you. You too.
I'm excited for the movie, and I know our audience is going to be as well. We'll be sure to include links for everywhere they can find you online so they can keep up with what you're doing. And the music video as well,
Mm-hmm.
as well as what's next for you. So some of the projects that you talked about, we'll be sure to link so people can check them out. But thank you. I wish you all the success in the world, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.
Thank you. Oh.